Hey folks, Dr. Joe here. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. What we're going to talk about today is your immune system. And everybody talks about, oh, I got a weak immune system, got a strong immune system, got to keep my immune system strong. But what does that mean? What exactly is the immune system? How does it work? What affects it? Are there certain foods or lifestyle things you're doing that are making it worse? And are there certain foods you can eat to actually help make it better? When we talk about the immune system, it may not be to stimulate the immune system. Sometimes we need to suppress the immune system. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, what that means is that some people have a condition called an autoimmune disease. And if you have an autoimmune disease, the body is attacking itself. So in cases like that, we may need to actually suppress the immune system. So I'd rather say normalize or mediate the immune system as opposed to stimulate or suppress, because that's what we really want to do. We want to make it normal. And that's what we're shooting for, is a normal immune system. So why is it that some people, when they're exposed to, I don't know, flu virus or cold virus, they don't get sick and other people do? And is it so bad to get sick? The answer, I'll give you the answer to that tease. The answer is no. It's not so bad to get sick. Because when you get sick, your body learns. Your immune cells, which we're going to talk about, can actually learn how to deal with certain diseases. And that's the principle behind a vaccine. If you have a vaccine, I inject you, I wouldn't, but someone would inject you with a weakened virus or a weakened pathogen, we'll call it. Pathogen is anything that's like a bad guy. So we expose you to a weakened pathogen, and your immune system says, oh, what is that? I don't know what that is. Let's go attack it. And then when it sees the real thing, it says, oh, I remember that, and then it attacks the real thing. And that's the principle behind a vaccine. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's pretty simple. So when we're born, we have a very weak immune system. We haven't been exposed to anything before. So whatever immunity you have is given to us by our mothers. Yay, moms. Also, immediately, however, if you're nursing, that immunity begins to grow. The first milk we receive from our mothers is not actually milk, but it's actually something called colostrum. So boys and girls, if you're going to have a baby, or if you've recently had a baby, or if you're pregnant, I strongly advise, like amazingly strongly advise, like I couldn't make it any stronger, that you breastfeed the child. Now some people say, well, I don't have time, and there's always an excuse. Here's the thing. You have to. When I become Grand Poobah of the universe, this is one of the laws I'm going to implement. You have to, if you can, assuming you're healthy enough to do it, breastfeed the child at least for several weeks. I would prefer you breastfeed the child for a year. Now, some of you think a year, that's crazy. I want the moms to be healthy too. You're giving the baby so much of a boost in life when the baby is breastfed. And the first few weeks, milk days that come out, it's called a colostrum. And a colostrum, its primary purpose is to boost your immune system. So you need to get that in the baby, at least that. Now, when I was born, way back in the Stone Age, I was not breastfed even for a day. And it's interesting because I asked my mother now what happened. And she said they had a family friend, who said a sentence that would change my life forever. And that woman, I don't know who she is, said, only animals breastfeed. So if only animals breastfeed, humans aren't animals, and so I was not breastfed, which was unfortunate. And it had a dramatic effect because as a child, I was always sick. Now, would I have been sick anyway? I don't know. But we know now, science has come a long way in the past several years, that breastfeeding is vital, and you want to give that baby that colostrum. So in addition, nursing helps build up cultures or friendly bacteria in your digestive system, which also support your immune system. Children that are put on formula are denied the colostrum, and they're denied the good bacteria to help build your immune system. Not only are formula-fed children more liable to experience colic, ear infections, and colds, there's significant evidence that their immune system never fully catches up, no matter how hard you try. So you got a one-shot deal, parents, to get these kids healthy and normal. That's why I strongly beg of you to breastfeed your child. Now, the primary way we build up immunity is by teaching our immune system how to respond more quickly and more aggressively. So whenever T cells or B cells, these are actual names of cells, T cells and B cells, become activated by an invader, some of these cells become memory cells. That's what we were just talking about. They encode a memory of the particular antigen, bad guy, associated with that invader so that the next time they encounter that same antigen, bad guy, the immune system can respond quickly. We saw that before. We know it's a bad guy. Let's go kick its butt. That's pretty much what it's saying. So in other words, if you have an illness and being exposed to the microbes on a daily basis trains your body to better defend against that illness, those microbes learn it, and the next time they will attack it the next time this antigen appears. So we actually have to teach our cells. There's a gland in your body. It's right below your chest bone, your breastbone, and it's called the thymus. And we're little, the thymus is really big. And as we get older, the thymus gets smaller and smaller. Now, when I went to school, I was taught that the thymus gland is useless in adults. It just shrivels up and dies, and it's of no use. Well, it turns out that was wrong. The thymus may not be as big and as active as it used to be, but it still has a purpose. And we don't have extra organs. We were taught years ago, in fact, I know in Georgia, for one, if anyone had any abdominal surgery, they had to have their appendix removed. This was several years ago. And I remember thinking, that's an odd rule. And the thought was that the appendix is useless. It's going to rupture anyway. Who needs it? Might as well take it out now while we're in there. The patient's under anesthesia. Let's cut it out. Well, it turns out that that was wrong. Your appendix has a lot of purpose. And now we're finding one of the things that it can do is actually help fight cancer. So for all those folks who had their appendix removed when it was perfectly healthy, wow, that was a boo-boo on the healthcare department's part. And now we don't remove the appendices, I guess, on a regular basis unless there's something wrong with it. So there's a number of factors that affect the level of your immune response and how good you are at mounting this immune response. Genetics, of course, play a role. I mean, there are some people that just hit the genetic lottery. I mean, you see men sometimes and women sometimes, you look at them and they're like, my God, these people are goddesses and gods. They just hit the aesthetic genetic lottery. Some people have hit the healthy genetic lottery. Some people hit both. So genetics play a role, but some individuals are born with stronger immune systems than others. Just kind of is what it is. Now, diet, lifestyle, environment, these can also enhance or erode your immune system. So even if you hit the genetic lottery and you're doing things like having a bad diet, eating a lot of alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas, or you're abusing yourself with drugs or not sleeping or working weird shifts, or maybe you work in a toxic environment. Maybe you're involved in a toxic relationship. These things can all erode the immune system. So a couple of things that help. Zinc, for example, is essential for a healthy immune system, and it helps increase the level of T cells and white blood cells in your body. Also selenium. It's also essential, and again, it's required for white blood cell production. So if you're eating this typical American diet or the standard American diet, SAD, SAD diet, standard American diet, chances are that you're not getting enough zinc and selenium and a ton of other minerals. And so your body can only function with what you give it. And eventually it's going to crash. It always does. And I was just talking to somebody actually the other day. I was at this one company I work with. And we were saying, the guy said, well, you know, I've kind of rolled the dice. I've eaten a bad diet, and I've smoked, and I did drugs, and so far, so good. And then he stopped and looked at me, and he said, so far. And I said, there you go. You will always have to pay for your sins. No one gets away unscathed. If you sin, you will pay for it. The Bible says you pay for the sins of your fathers. Well, probably, and there could be some genetics to that. There could be some karma to that. But you will always have to pay for your sins when you assault your health. I know a friend of mine drinks a lot. So far so good. And then I start talking to him. Well, you know, I'm getting high blood pressure, and, you know, and in the romantic department, don't work no more, and I'm tired all the time. And I'm like, yeah, there you go. You're going to have to pay for it sooner or later. Nobody gets away unscathed. So back to selenium and zinc. Brazil nuts, great source of selenium. So if you want to, grab yourself some Brazil nuts. Eat about 2 or 3 Brazil nuts a day, men especially. And it helps. It does wonders. Now, I was starting to go gray. A little bit here and there. I'd find a gray hair here and there. And so I said, I got to find out something's wrong. What's wrong? So I did a hair analysis. And we do hair analysis at my office on a regular basis on our patients. And we just take a little tiny bit of hair. It can come from anywhere in your body. and we send it off to a lab, and they do an analysis, and they determine what minerals or nutrients you might be low in. Do you have an imbalance? Do you have any heavy metal toxicity? I see that a lot. Aluminum and mercury, I see a lot in my patients. And then we can put together a protocol specifically for your condition. So I did a hair analysis. Turns out I was low in selenium. So I started eating some Brazil nuts, 2-3 a day, and I took some supplements. If I didn't have Brazil nuts, I had my backup supplements there. And it took maybe 6 months, maybe a year. All the gray went away. My chest, off my head. How about that? So in my case, I was deficient in selenium, and that led to gray hair. Now, yours may be different. I'm not saying everyone has the same thing, but for me, it worked. And I was really just the early stages of it. So we need these vital nutrients to keep our bodies healthy. So let's talk about the different types of the way the immune system works, different types of immunity. There's something called active immunization. This happens when your body is presented with something that it considers non-self. I've got the Joe Esposito cells in my body, and my immune system says, yep, that's a Joe cell, that's a Joe cell. Now, suddenly, if a Barbara Smith comes into my body, my immune system would say, we don't recognize that. Well, where do we get these foreign cells from? Food, environment. These toxic chemicals come into the body, and they're not cells, they're more molecules. It's not self. So this could be a foreign invader. It could be a newly formed cancer cell. It's not a Joe Esposito cell anymore. It's an altered Joe Esposito cell. So what happens is your body mobilizes its immune system, and that's in response to the invader. Exposure to measles, mumps, chickenpox as a child, for example, can provide immunity for years and in many cases a lifetime. So once your immune system recognizes something, it says, I know what that is. Let's go get it. So the next time I've had chickenpox, I've had measles. Next time I'm exposed to chickenpox or measles, which I'm sure I have been over the years, my immune system just takes care of it. No big deal. I have an immunity. Specific immunity. This involves the injection of a reduced strength antigen into the body. In other words, a vaccine. Another type of immunity, non-specific immunization. It's different because it involves the injection of certain antigens to raise the level of the immune function throughout the body, but against an entirely different invader than the antigen is. So that's another way that we can do this, is just get a general buildup of the immune system. Adapted immunotherapy requires direct injection, usually typically of something called interleukin-2, to stimulate the immune system. Some immune boosters that help with this adapted immunotherapy might be things like sumaroot or astragalus, and they work by stimulating what's called the cytokines in your body. Now, what the heck is sumaroot and astragalus is your next question, because this sounds very interesting, doesn't it? These are herbs, and there are certain herbs, when you put them in your body, can actually cause the immune system to be activated and then kind of start building up troops, getting ready for war. So years ago, people would come to me and say, well, Dr. Joe, what would you consider like the world's best supplement? And I said, if somebody could take fruits and vegetables and put them in a pill, we'd have the world's best supplement, because fruits and vegetables is the essential source of your nutrients. That's where you get your essential nutrients from. And so I created something called Essential Source, and that's what it is. It's fruits and vegetables in a powder form. Then we take prebiotics and probiotics, which are good bacteria, which help your immune system. Then we add a complete multivitamin, and that's called Dr. Joe's Essential Source. And that's a powder. It's on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or you can just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world. Or you can go on Amazon. We have an Amazon page. And I take that every single day, and I feel great. In fact, I run into people, and I look at them, and I see their age, and I see my age, and I look at them, and I look at me, and I think, oh my God, I hope I don't look that old. And I don't. I look about 15 years younger than I am, actually, which is pretty cool. So a lot of that has to do with my lifestyle. And it's not, my genetics, I guess I had good genetics. My father was a very handsome man until the day he passed. My mom's a very pretty woman to this day. So I got good genetics there. But I keep myself young because I don't do the things that age myself, which is kind of nice. So things like sumaroot, astragalus, I put together the Essential Source. Let's go back there. And that's the general supplement. I take that along with something called Dr. Joe Super Greens. So Super Greens and Essential Source. And the Super Greens alkalize my system. They give me tons of minerals that my body needs. I take a scoop of those, 1 scoop of each every day, at least once a day. Now, if I have a big event, if I have a date, I'm going hiking, I got a bunch of lectures, I'll do 2 scoops. But those are on my website, drjoeesposito.com. I also created Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster. And I created that because I find that the herbs that I put in there, suma root, olive leaf extract, a couple other things, they actually stimulate white blood cell production. Echinacea, pau d'arco. And so that's a liquid that's on my website as well, drjoeesposito.com. And I like that because I take that every day in the winter. And somebody asked me the other day, when was the last time you had the flu? And I can't remember, maybe as a child, but I can't remember ever getting the flu because I want to keep my immune system strong. Now, I'm not saying this prevents the flu. I'm saying if you keep your immune system strong, chances are you're not going to get sick. So Super Green's an essential source. I take the Wellness Booster every single day. And that's on the website, drjoeesposito.com. So, folks, if you want to make an appointment to come see us, we're chiropractors. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We would love the opportunity to meet with you and find out if you have any healthcare issues. Now, if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, if you've ever been in a car accident, chances are you're suffering needlessly. What does that mean? You're suffering and you don't have to, because we got to get to the cause of your problem, which is usually a bone out of place pinching a nerve. And if we can put the bones back in place, take the pressure off the nerve, balance out your muscles, and get the body structurally sound again, chances are you're going to get very, very good results. So if you want to make an appointment, we accept people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, and just Google Dr. Joe, and we will set you up a time as soon as possible. I give you this advice. Get off your fanny and do it. Every day, patients come into our offices and say, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I wait so long? I've been listening to you, Dr. Joe, for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And finally, I got in here. And then when they see the results, they're very angry with themselves that they suffered all those years needlessly. This isn't dress rehearsal, folks. This is the final round. We've got to keep ourselves healthy. So do it right now. Go to the website, or you can call us from the website, drjoeesposito.com, and just Google Dr. Joe. Right on the front page, it says book an appointment. So we're going to talk some more today about the immune system, because a lot of people don't know what it is, what to do about it. They just assume that fate would have it that they get sick all the time. Fate would have it that they get colds all the time. And when they finally get their diet straightened out, and when they finally start taking the right supplements, and when they finally start getting chiropractic care, and I'm going to talk about that a little later, how it stimulates the immune system, they all say the same thing. Why didn't I do this sooner? And that's a big problem that you people are just waiting around. In fact, let's cover the chiropractic part now. Studies, Immune Response to Spinal Manipulation, written by Dr. Frank Painter. Appeared in Dynamic Chiropractic, which is a chiropractic journal. Spinal manipulation appears to reduce the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines and increase the blood levels of immunoregulatory cytokines. Well, that's a lot of blah, 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 isn't it? Cytokines are immune system cells. Well, here it is. Cytokines are small cell signaling protein molecules that are secreted by numerous cells of the immune system and are a category of signaling molecules used extensively in intercellular communication. They send out messages. And it's really cool because years ago, we didn't really understand what we understand now. For example, cancer cells. If you have cancer somewhere in your body, how does it become metastatic? How does it spread? Well, no one really knew for a while. Did it spread through the blood system? Did it spread through the lymph system? Well, what the cells now we're finding they can do is they go out into the blood or the lymph and they look for weak areas of the body. And when they find a weak area, they can send out a message wirelessly to other cells and say, hey guys, let's go to the liver. It's weak here. Let's go to the bones. It's weak here. And then the cells go there, migrate, and then they start to take over and start multiplying. So we really are finding out that the body can be wireless as well as hardwired. We know that the gut, the bacteria in your gut, talk to your brain. And we always thought that it was along what's called the vagus nerve, V-A-G-U-S, the vagus nerve. Well, it turns out that sometimes messages aren't being sent along the vagus nerve. They're just being sent to the brain. How cool is that? And so the next few years, I promise you, you're going to see that where people are, how the body works, and that the body can be wireless. And so the things you're doing to your body are very dangerous that can mess with the communications. You've heard me talk about cell phones in the past. You got to get the cell phones away from your body as often as possible. And this is a big issue because you carry your cell phone. Man, you carry it in your front pocket, right? Okay, electromagnetic frequencies. your phone is constantly sending and receiving nonstop unless you put it on airplane mode. And it's sending and receiving electromagnetic frequencies, which now we find can alter cell function. And in us boys, it can affect the testicles and the sperm. That, whenever I say that, gentlemen always sit up and go, what? Okay, let's fix that right now. We certainly don't want that problem now, do we? So you really want to get in there and fix the problems. And a lot of ways you fix the problems is not causing them. So that's another show on cell phones, but don't carry your cell phone close to your body. I put mine sometimes in my back pocket if I don't have a hand free. As soon as I have a hand free, I take it out of my pocket, carry it in my hand. As soon as I get in my car, put it on the seat. Get to the office, put it on my desk. Get to the studio, put it in the studio. But get the cell phones away from your body as much as you can. I promise you, you're going to be very, very happy with it. I've had patients many times over the years, and they'll come in, and we can't figure out why they're having so much pain. And we'll give them chiropractic care, and they do great. And then we get them on a good diet. We get them on Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, and they're very happy, and they see lots of progress, but they're just not getting what they want. They still got that right hip pain, or they still have that groin pain, or ladies, sometimes it's just shoulder pain. And then I'll realize, wait a minute, where are you carrying your cell phone? Right over the pain. And I'll tell them, take this phone out and stop, leave it out for 2 months or 2 weeks. Let's see what happens. And many times they'll come back and say, Dr. Joe, you were right. I stopped carrying my cell phone in my right pocket and my right hip got better. So we are, like the commercial said, messing with Mother Nature. It's not nice to fool Mother Nature, and we are. So back to spinal manipulation and your immune system. Studies demonstrated an accumulation of evidence that indicates spinal manipulation, chiropractic care, may influence the immune system's response to various stimuli. 3 of the studies suggest that manipulation consistently reduced the production of pro-inflammatory mediators associated with tissue damage and pain. So that means chiropractic care helped reduce the amount of cells that are causing the inflammation. Other studies provided evidence that manipulation consistently reduced the production of pro-inflammatory mediators. Oh, we did that one already. 2 studies indicated evidence that manipulation may induce and enhance production of immunoregulatory cytokine IL-2 and the production of immunoglobulins as well. So it can reduce the bad guys, the ones that cause the pain and inflammation, and increase the ones that actually help fight the disease and the inflammation. So something you probably never thought of is chiropractic care as a way to help the immune system. And the studies are saying yes. And what's interesting too is when patients come into our office, many times they change their lifestyle. You know what, Dr. Joe, I'm going to start taking Dr. Joe's Super Greens. I'm going to start taking Dr. Joe's Essential Source. That alone gives you the minimum amount of nutrients you need to function in a day, and you start feeling better. In many cases, most cases, almost all cases. Then you start putting the bones back in place, opening up the nerve supply, stimulating or activating the immune system, reducing the inflammation. And then they'll start feeling better, so they'll start eating better. And they'll come in and they'll say, well, Dr. Joe, I listened to your shows and you said do this and I did this and I did that. Boy, you have a right, man. I tell you what, I take the Super Greens, the Essential Source for breakfast. I eat less. I save a ton of money because I'm eating less. I feel better. My bowels are working better. My love life's improving. Good. So now it becomes a lifestyle. So not only are you getting the scientific evidence as to why it's happening, you start getting the psychological effects. I feel better. And when you feel better, but guess what? It helps your immune system. Laughter. Laughter helps your immune system. So if you're not in pain and you're not having gas and bloating and diarrhea and constipation and acid reflux and headaches and numbness and tingling, chances are you're going to function at a happier, better level, which that alone is going to help your immune system. So taking things like Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster, that's the Suma Root and the Echinacea and Pau d'Arco. We talked about that. Those are all on the website, drjoeesposito.com. Staying away from the inflammatory foods, which we're going to cover, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Suddenly, you have a healthcare plan. You may have health insurance, but a lot of you don't have a healthcare plan. My job is give you a healthcare plan. So if you want to listen to more shows, go to my website. We have hundreds of hours, thousands. Gosh, I think we have over 1,000 hours now of radio shows there. That's on my website, drjoeesposito.com. Lots of good information there. You can read articles. Send me questions. If you have questions, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. If you want to make an appointment to come see us, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com. You can do it online. You can call us if you want to. We accept people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. Folks, I've never seen a car damage where the occupants weren't, ever. If you were ever in a car accident, you, your friends, and family need to let us check you to make sure that you're okay. So the website again, before we go to break, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. I am Dr. Joe Esposito, and we're talking today about your immune system and what it is, how it works. There's different ways the immune system can be stimulated or suppressed sometimes. If the immune system starts becoming attacking itself, you can have an autoimmune disease, and we certainly don't want that. And so let's talk a little bit about autoimmune diseases, and then we're going to talk about the best foods to prevent childhood infections, getting the immune system working again, best foods to counter stress-induced immune suppression, and we're going to talk a little bit more about other foods that you can eat that actually help the immune system work. So if you're eating certain foods, and the two big ones are dairy and meat, they contain things. Dairy contains casein, which is a protein. Now, all milk contains casein, human milk, dog's milk, cow's milk, but it's not casein that we're used to. It's cow's milk. It's not human milk. So casein and wheat contains gluten, and gluten contains two components, gliadin and glutenin. Don't worry about the chemistry here. But what happens is when you put these chemicals in your body, the immune system has to attack them. So we'll just start there, but there's many others. And gluten many times is confused by, the immune system gets confused when it sees gluten because it looks a little bit like the lining of your colon, the same cell walls. Now, some people have very sophisticated immune systems, and the immune system can tell the difference. Some people don't. And if the immune system can't tell the difference between the gluten and your cell walls, it can attack the cell walls, and the body now attacks itself. And so now the body starts to learn to attack these foreign invaders, when in this case it really isn't a foreign invader, it's your colon, and that can cause an autoimmune condition. And when you attack yourself, it creates inflammation, and that inflammation becomes systemic. What that means is it goes through your whole system. And that can cause brain fog, it can cause loss of memory, it can cause fatigue, mood swings. So many times when people have emotional issues, it's really related to the digestive system. And the reason the digestive system is acting up is because the body is attacking itself. So I always recommend, I was just talking to somebody the other day, he's got real bad gastritis, which is just a general term meaning the colon is inflamed and it's not working right. And so I suggested to him, I said, do me a favor. Do this. I said, New Jersey. Hey, do this. For crying out loud, just do it this way. I said, do me a favor. Let's give up the wheat and the dairy, and let's see what happens. Maybe I'm wrong. So a couple of days later, I said, how you doing with that? He said, it's amazing. My gas is gone. My bloating is gone. My stomach doesn't hurt. My stomach's flattened out. I'm going to the bathroom 2 to 3 times a day. Normal bowel function, not, urgent, then diarrhea, and then constipation. He goes, I'm thrilled. And then he said the words that I hear every single day in our practices. Why didn't somebody tell me this sooner? Or why didn't I do it sooner is what I hear a lot of too. And my answer is I don't know. I don't know why no one ever told you this before. So, and again, I'm not knocking any other healthcare professionals. I refer to healthcare professionals constantly. I'm a patient too. I get my body scanned as I get older, make sure I don't have any hardening of the arteries, any cancer cells. I check my blood pressure. I go to a dentist. I go to an eye doctor. If I have a medical condition, I go see my MD friends. So I'm a patient too. So I'm not knocking it, but you got to realize that if you go to a surgeon, that surgeon may not be trained in chiropractic care, probably isn't, or trained in nutrition. I had one of my patients, she had an autoimmune disease. She had a lung transplant. She has cystic fibrosis. And the doctor said, eat as much as you can because you got to keep your weight up. And sugars and dairies and ice creams. And she was coughing constantly. She had somebody else's lungs in her body. She had a lung transplant. So she went to go talk to the nutritionist at the hospital. And they were talking. And it turns out somehow my name came up. And the nutritionist closed the book, put it down, and said, if you have access to Dr. Joe, do what he says. He's the guy. And so even nutritionists will say that, because I understand if you work in a hospital, you have to follow hospital protocol. I work in my own clinic. I'm the clinic director. I'm the boss, so I get to decide what the protocol is. Now, I'm not knocking the other professions because I don't know how to do surgery. I don't know how to do an eye exam. And that's why I refer to like-minded professionals who think, yes, I'll do what I do, you do what you do. And it's great. It really is a lot of fun. So with autoimmune conditions, first thing you want to do is wheat and dairy. Cut those out for 2 or 3 weeks. Let's see what happens. That's rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, of course, cystic fibrosis is this case, and see what happens. And I always tell my patients this, if I'm wrong, so what? I'm wrong. But if I'm right, which I am, you'll say, wow, I should have done this sooner. And the same thing with back pain and neck pain, and we were chiropractors, patients say all the time, I've been in pain for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and I've been meaning to come see you. And I said, well, why didn't you? I don't know. And they come in and they go, oh my gosh, this is great. It's quick, it's easy. I feel great. Your doctors are wonderful. Staff is great. Wow. And they think how many days and years they wasted in pain. We don't have to. But I digress again. So if you're having an autoimmune condition, and I'm not saying don't do what the medical doctors say and don't do what your rheumatoid arthritis doctors say or your endocrinologists say, but let's add this to it and let's see what happens. That's why a lot of doctors send patients here. They say, well, Dr. Joe, you figure it out and then send it back to me. Okay, no problem. So, and if you want more information about our clinics, you can go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the #1 Dr. Joe in the world. And we're more than happy to, you can read all about us there. So let's talk about, I made promises, and I'm on a limited amount of time. Gosh, I wish I had just hours and hours to talk to you guys. But there are thousands of hours, over 1,000 hours of radio shows and videos on my website, drjoeesposito.com. All right, revolutionizing your immune system, 1989, Charles Janeway. He proposed that there must be some ancient, innate first line of defense. Because we knew about vaccines for centuries, how the bodies can learn from past infections, but he figured something's wrong. Our body has to eventually be exposed to these foreign invaders for the first time. So he proposed that the way our immune cells discriminate between self and non-self, our own cells versus invading microbes, may rise from a pattern recognition receptors. We're just born with the ability to recognize patterns of microbial structure. So your body can look at something and say, yeah, that looks pretty good, or nah, that looks like a foreign invader. Because that's something I questioned too when I was in school. It's like, wait a minute, if your immune system has to learn everything, what happens the first time it's exposed to it? It has no way to learn. It's like me saying, well, start speaking, I don't know, Portuguese. Well, if I don't learn it, I can't just start speaking it. And so that was always my thought. And then 1989, Charles Janeway came out with this. So for example, it's a unique component of fungal cell walls that naturally stimulates our immune system. So funguses have something in it that our immune system will start to be stimulated. It's called beta-glucan. Remember that word, beta-glucan. Our own cells don't produce it, but funguses like Candida do. Candida is a type of yeast that can cause serious blood infections. And it's a good idea that our immune system recognizes it right off the bat. A lot of you have Candida infections, and you don't know it. It's called a systemic yeast infection. So here's my little side note before I go back to beta-glucan, because this is really exciting that I want to talk to you about. Tomorrow morning, if you have skin rashes, if you have jock itch, ladies' vaginal infections, itchy rectum, mouth rash, itchy armpits, you might have a systemic yeast infection. And what you do is this. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, and this is out of my new book, not new book, it's been out for a few months now, called Prescription for Extreme Health. And this is just one of the things we talk about in there. So if you like this, you need to get a copy of the book on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. And wake up tomorrow, put a glass of clear water next to your bed, clear glass of water. When you wake up tomorrow morning, get a big mouthful of spit in a glass. Wait from 0 to an hour, and if you start seeing strings start to come down, like a jellyfish coming down, like jellyfish tentacles, chances are you have a systemic yeast infection. And if you see that, you need to call our offices, and we will try to set you up a protocol for this. And it's work. If you have a systemic yeast infection, you're going to have to work at getting rid of this. This is not something that's going to go away like taking aspirin, your headache goes away. But it could save your life. Depending how bad the yeast infection is. If you see it on jock itch and vaginal infections and, foot fungus and toenail fungus, it's really bad inside your body. And you need to work really hard. Not hard. You just have to work for a while. It's going to take weeks, maybe months to get this thing all cleared up. And it's supplements, it's food. Of course, I always recommend chiropractic care to keep the immune system normal, check your digestive system. So that's what I want to do with you if you have that. But that's a systemic yeast, and the immune system is attacking it. But what happens is some of this yeast can disguise itself. And this is kind of interesting, especially the Candida. It can develop what's called a biofilm, which is a protein film, and the immune system then can't recognize it. And it looks at it and goes, nah, that doesn't look too bad, and it floats right by. But if we can stimulate the immune system and train it to look better, if you will, at these cells. They'll go, oh, wait a minute, you know, that looked like it's in camouflage, but it is yeast. Let's go attack it. So we need to train the immune system to work more efficiently. And if you're taking something called beta-glucan, it can actually train your body. So the candida, like I said, is a type of yeast that causes serious blood infections. So it's a good idea for the body to work on it. So you should stimulate your immune system by injecting candida into your veins, right? Wouldn't that make sense? No, because if you do, you might die. Luckily, there are non-disease-causing yeasts that contain beta-glucan. And when you take these, they don't have a biofilm on them, so it starts to train your immune system. Now, this isn't just for yeast, and I'll talk about this in a second, how it can affect children with colds. And adults, actually. It turns out adults, too. So there's something called baker's yeast or brewer's yeast or nutritional yeast. Now, I am a huge fan of nutritional yeast. I use it almost every day. I put it on salads. I put it in soups. In the wintertime, I'll get some vegetable broth, and I'll just add some nutritional yeast to it, and it's kind of like this thick, rich, savory broth. You know, if you like veggie broth, I mean, I don't do beef. I don't do any animal products, but really gives it a rich, savory flavor. So they have the same molecular signal as the bad yeasts called beta-glucan. So your digestive tract is the largest point of contact to the outside world. More surface area exposed than your lungs and your skin put together. So if you look at all your skin and the surface in your lungs, the digestive system has more area that you can get at through your mouth. So it's not surprising that most of our immune cells are concentrated along the intestinal wall. But they don't just stay there. If they're tipped off that there's something happening in the gut, they're off to defend your area. The cavalry, they go off and do it. So if you sprinkle something like nutritional yeast on your kids' popcorn or on their salad, what might happen? Adults tend to get fewer colds a year than children. The average school child can come down with a cold every other month. And if you have kids, you kind of know that. But what can we really do? Modern medicine has very little to offer run-of-the-mill cold, because the colds can come from over 100 different viruses. So doctors still commonly prescribe things like antibiotics, and they can actually do more harm than good. Not saying don't take antibiotics. I am saying don't take them if you don't need them. So there is a need for a safe, effective, inexpensive thing that we can give our kids. And beta-glucan might just fit the bill. Researchers performed a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study. Half a teaspoon of nutritional yeast worth of beta-glucan. Half a teaspoon, not a whole lot. And they gave it in children that suffered from repeated respiratory infections, and after a month, found a significant increase in salivary lysosomes compared to the control. Now, lysosomes are important because they protect your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. A larger follow-up study reported some opposite effects, but the researchers claimed that they were accompanied by pronounced improvements in general overall health. So two studies said two different things, but both of them said one thing: overall health was improved. So a randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial was performed to see if dusting of nutritional yeast worth of beta-glucan every day could reduce the number of episodes of common childhood illnesses. And just by taking 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutritional yeast worth of beta-glucan, about 1/16 of a teaspoon's worth, so very, very little, appeared to cut the illness rates in half. How about that? And those on the yeast did not come down with colds. Who did come down with colds only suffered for about 3 days, compared to most kids who suffered for about 9 days. So a half a teaspoon of nutritional yeast for the kids. Research concluded that by giving kids yeast beta-glucans, we could decrease the incidence and severity of infectious illnesses like cold and flu, and thereby helping the children as well as helping the parents. Why haven't you heard of that before? Pretty wild, isn't it? People come to me all the time. Why haven't I heard this? I don't know. I have no idea. If you listen to my shows, you hear things like this. But these are things, studies that are done, that just don't make mainstream media because they're not really sensational. 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutritional yeast will cost you a penny, maybe 2 pennies, 5 pennies. Let's say it costs 5 pennies. And what harm is there in doing that? Let's assume that study's wrong. And I always play my own devil's advocate. Let's assume I'm wrong. So what? You gave the kid a couple of pennies worth of nutritional yeast, and you too, by the way, you need to take it too. And you feel better, you have more energy, loaded with B vitamins, by the way, easily digested proteins. So why wouldn't you do that? And you can get nutritional yeast. Most health food stores carry it. You can get them online. There's organic. Of course, I like to do organic on anything if you can. And I think you'll be pretty happy with that. So folks, if you have a healthcare problem and you'd like to come see us, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We would love the opportunity to be your doctors. So why don't you do this right now? No jerking around. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, and you can book an appointment right online, or you can call us. And we'll set you up a time, come in, meet with me. Usually, most new patients meet with me. Sometimes they meet with the other doctors, but usually it's me. And I'll sit down and I'll determine if you have something I think we can help. And if it is, I'll tell you. And if it's not, I'll tell you that too. What do you got to lose? Little time, little money. And if it's consultation only, you know, if I'm not going to accept you as a patient, I'm not even going to charge you for it. But come in and get checked and see if there's something that can be done to help get you well and keep you well. So go to my website, drjoeesposito.com. Do it right now. Car accidents, sports injuries, workers' comp injuries, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, digestive issues. And a lot of patients come in because they just want to be well. Dr. Joe, I want to have the energy and health that you have. What do I need to do? All right, this is what we do. So do it right now. We accept, like I said, all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. And I have to say this every time. If I've never seen a car accident where the car was damaged where the occupants weren't. Sometimes people say, I felt okay after the accident, and we check them out. Sure enough, they have a problem. So right now, right, got it? Right now, I'll wait. Okay, good. drjoeesposito.com. Just Google Dr. Joe. We want to get you in as soon as humanly possible. So nutritional yeast, good thing. But that's just one thing. That's one study, and I liked it. But I like to put together a healthcare plan, not just one study. So I would suggest that you avoid sugar. And this is in my book, Prescription for Extreme Health. My other book is called Eating Right for the Health of It. And Prescription for Extreme Health, we talk about sugar. And if you drink soda, an amount of sugar in a soda, which is about 9 to 12 teaspoons of sugar, if you have a white blood cell in your body, and you do, that white blood cell usually can kill off about 14 pathogens or bad guys, and then it dies. If you drink 1 can of soda, that same white blood cell can only kill off 1 pathogen before it dies. So based on that statement, your immune system is about 14 times weaker when you eat sugar. And how many of you eat sugar on a daily basis? Raise your hands. How many of you eat sugar on a meal-to-meal basis? Raise your hands. How many of you eat sugar on snack time? Raise your hands. A lot of you are eating sugar every time you eat. And that's breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. Those are all sugars. So I'm going to strongly advise that you limit the amount of sugar that you eat, and you'll feel a lot better. You'll probably live longer. You'll probably lose weight. Your brain is going to work better, and it's so inflammatory. And when sugar gets in your body, it combines with protein and creates a chemical called Advanced Glycation End Products, AGE. And that's exactly what it does. It ages you. The sugar bonds to the protein, creates the AGEs, and they can start to eat away, essentially, at your connective tissue, your collagen. And so that's the thing that makes your skin all perky and firm. And it's eating away at your collagen, giving you wrinkles. Now, we're chiropractors. So where else might we be concerned about connective tissue? How about your spine? How about every single joint in your body? There's some type of connective tissue. And if you're eating a lot of sugar, you're literally eating away at your connective tissue. Not a good thing, is it? So why don't you stop doing that? And if you stop doing it, I think you'll be extremely happy and hopefully slow down the aging process. That's one of my secrets. And you'll feel better. And your immune system will work better. And you'll save money. And you'll probably live longer. There's no downside except one. And that downside is sugar sure tastes good. I like sugar. You like sugar. If you listen to my shows in the past, I talk about how sugar stimulates the part of your brain that gives you pleasure. It kicks in the dopamine receptor sites. And it releases dopamine and you get high from it. Oh, baby, you feeling good. And when you're feeling good, what do you want to do? You want to eat more sugar. It's the quickest, easiest, cheapest, most abused drug in the world. And that's what we're doing every single day. So stop it. And people have cravings. Well, go to my website. I've done shows on cravings before, drjoeesposito.com, and listen to some of my shows on sugar and weight loss and, how the brain works. You'll be amazed. And you'll say, wow, I wish I'd learned this sooner. So you got to cut out the sugar. If you want to sweeten something, you could use stevia, but this is it. And stevia, I said stevia quickly. Stevia is good. Make sure it's pure organic stevia. What happens is when you cut out the sugar, eventually your cravings start to go away. And that's where I want to get you in life. I want you to get to the point where your cravings are gone. So you got to do, the only way to do it is to do it. And then take Dr. Joe's Super Greens. Take Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Give your body the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that it needs so that it doesn't start craving these bad foods. There's also a supplement we carry here in the office called Gymnema, Gymnema. And Gymnema helps cut your sugar cravings. And I tell people this that are just sugar junkies, and Dr. Joe, I can never give up my sugar. I said, I'll negotiate with you. I negotiate with everyone. I'm Italian. I cut you a deal. What I want you to do is get some Gymnema, call my office and get a couple of bottles, get a bottle, start with one, I don't care. And whenever you have a sugar craving, I want you to chew one of the capsules, caplets. Doesn't taste good, I'll be honest with you. But it doesn't taste bad, it's just that. So chew it up, and then you can eat your sugar. What's going to happen is the sugar is not going to taste good. It does something, and I'm not sure the molecular structure, or molecular reaction, it does something, it numbs your taste buds in your tongue to sugar. So sugar now suddenly doesn't taste good anymore. And you'll go, oh, it doesn't even taste good. I don't feel like eating it anymore. So kind of neat. All right, real quick, running out of time. Best foods to counter stress-induced immune suppression, beta-glucan again. Over 10,000 scientific studies and clinical trials. Beta-glucan is found in nutritional yeast, also found in oatmeal. So that might be something as well. But the problem is we can't come up with a vaccine against the common cold virus because there's hundreds of different viruses. So things like beta-glucan can stimulate your immune system so that it gets active and can start killing the bad guys off. And it's pretty quick and it's pretty cheap. And in this one study, those who did end up getting sick while on the beta-glucan did generally appear to have milder symptoms. Nutritional yeast to prevent common cold. Half a teaspoon of nutritional yeast can help cut down on colds. And if you have the colds, it can help reduce the severity of them. Really not a bad thing, is it? And it tastes great, which is kind of cool. It tastes savory, I should say. So I would suggest Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. I sound like a broken record, I know. But every day. I take at least a scoop every day. And for the two of them, it's just over $2. $2 and pennies a day. So it's $1 a scoop each. And most people say they save so much money because they feel so much better and they eat less food and it helps their cravings that they are actually making money by taking it. I've had people say, don't ever stop taking this because I plan on having this extra money at the end of the month. So that's there. Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster, that helps the immune system. Create white blood cells, sumaroot, echinacea, powdered olive leaf extract. Studies have shown those herbs can do that. And I take that every single day in the winter. I would take vitamin D as well because vitamin D helps keep the immune system strong, about 5,000 units a day in the winter. Chiropractic care, if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, studies have shown it can help reduce the bad guys and increase the good guys when it comes to your immune cells. A lot of water, rest. So you start putting together a lifestyle. And so many people, every day, no matter where I am, 7 days a week, Dr. Joe, thank you. Thank you so much for all your information because it's totally changed my life. And I've never heard it put together so clearly before. Major universities call me on a regular basis. Will you come teach? I don't have time. Quite have. Still love seeing patients. After 33 years of practice, I still love seeing patients. There'll come a time, I'm sure, when I don't want to do that anymore. Then I can go teach. But right now, I'm here to teach you. So the website is there 24 hours a day, drjoeesposito.com. You can order supplements, my books. There's other supplements as well there. I didn't talk about them in this show. If you have questions, send them to me through the website. I'm more than happy to do that. If you want to make appointments, you can do it there. And we want to be your doctors. We want to help you get well and stay well. And that's why we videotape live lectures. Come out to the live lectures. They're a lot of fun. Also, by the way, supplements are on Amazon in the book. So if you have an Amazon account, you can order it there as well, just because it might save you some time and it's easier for you. You don't have to take out a credit card. It's all set up there. So if you can get a normally functioning nervous system, a normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition, you're on your way to a much healthier lifestyle. And then things like probiotics, good bacteria help build up the colon. Well, we put probiotics and prebiotics in Dr. Joe's Essential Source. I've thought of everything. I've been playing this game for a long time now, and you got to remember, I'm a patient too. So folks, if you want to make an appointment to come see us, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We'd love to have you come out. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world. And it says Health Plus Wellness Center. That's the name of our clinics. And we'll set you up a time to come see us. We accept people with car accidents, sports injuries. I've never seen a car damaged where the occupants weren't. Stop suffering needlessly. So many of you are suffering every single day, and there's no need for it. So if you're ready to get well and stay well, we're ready to take you on as a patient. drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. If you have questions, you can call my office. We'll give you all the information you need. We want to help you, your family, and friends reach optimum health. Hey, thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show. We'll catch you next time.